Channel. My name is Gabi, and right behind me is the 2026 Hyundai IONIQ 9 Preferred All-Wheel Drive Plus with the Ultimate Calligraphy Package. And yes, that is its full government name here in Canada. Now in today's video, we're doing a live stream walkthrough of everything we get in this particular trim level, highlighting the fact that it is the top trim available. So if you want all the bells and whistles, this is the one to get. Now, in today's live stream, we also keep the live chat open. So if you're watching this in real time, you can ask us questions about the vehicle, and towards the end of the chat or towards the end of the stream, we'll go ahead and do a live Q&A. So without further ado, I think we'll get right into it. I just want to cover a few bases of this vehicle before we dive deep into what we get. So again, this is the top trim level. However, the Ultimate Calligraphy is built upon the Preferred All-Wheel Drive Plus. Now, the lineup for the IONIQ 9 can seem a little bit confusing if you're first doing your research. So essentially, we have an entry model. That is rear-wheel drive with our high-capacity battery. It's 110.3 kilowatt hours. Then we have an all-wheel drive variant, which has a 160 kilowatt motor in the rear and a 70 kilowatt motor in the front. Then there's the all-wheel drive plus, which is what, again, this vehicle is based off of. This features two 160 kilowatt motors, one placed in the front, one in the rear, giving us all-wheel drive with that same high-capacity battery. So now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. The price point of this vehicle is $81,499 Canadian. That is $81,000 here, just over. The front end, we have a beautiful Horizon-style LED daytime running light. And in true IONIQ fashion, it's pixelated. So it's modern, but a little bit futuristic and certainly bold. If you're comparing this vehicle to its closest competitor, some may even call it its cousin, that would be the Kia EV9. The Kia EV9 has a completely different styling approach and is certainly not as funky as this IONIQ over here. If you want to see both vehicles compared side by side, I'm planning on doing that later today, so hop on that stream. The time will be to be declared. The main headlamp itself, though, again, full LEDs with that same pixelated design cue. So both your low and high beams have those cubic projectors. And on the topic of projector, it's not a reflection or multi-reflection headlamp. It is a projector style. So the light beam itself is focused on where you need it most, and you also have intelligent high beam assist. So if this vehicle detects that there's an oncoming car or enough sufficient light, as long as you're in automatic mode, the car will automatically shut off the high beams and turn them back on when it seems it's necessary. We have a ton of tech and safety built onto the IONIQ 9 in general, but when you do hop over to the Ultimate Calligraphy Package, things not only get a little bit more techy, but they get a little bit more stylish, and of course we'll point out all those cues along the way. Starting off with the design though, we have quite a bit of satin chrome across our front end, so that ties off this otherwise very dark exterior paint beautifully, giving a mix of the dark meets light. There's also forward-facing parking sensors, so when you're maneuvering a vehicle this large, you'll get audible alerts letting you know when you get too close to something. On top of that, there's also a camera system. So a camera placed in the front, very center of your grille. The grille itself is almost a full digital stylescape. Ooh, English is hard, you guys. So all across the front end, we'll have those ultrasonic sensors and camera coverage from that front-facing camera. These rectangular slots here are active air shutters, so this vehicle will open and close its active grills as it seems necessary to allow airflow to cool its battery, and also close them when it needs an emphasis on aerodynamics, because of course that will create drag on this vehicle. So now that it's nice and shut, we have a perfectly aerodynamic vehicle. I'm going to pop the hood to talk about our frunk space, and yes, we have a frunk. It is a 52-liter frunk, which is about the same size as the fuel tank on the hybrid Tucson, so fairly large. It's not going to be as big as rear-wheel drive configurations because, of course, we have a motor placed on the front for all-wheel, but it is still nice to have. Let's take a look. It is a two-story frunk, so we have this lower portion here and an upper portion, as well as these clips here will release to give you access to your air filter. There is an LED light, so if you are working on your vehicle or just, digging for whatever you put in your frunk at nighttime, you can see what you're doing. It's otherwise completely empty. We do have our fuel cap here, cap here for our washer fluid. There we go. But otherwise, relatively empty. I often like to talk about the horsepower and torque specs when I have the hood open, because normally if this was a gas hybrid or plug-in hybrid vehicle, here's where the engine is. Now I can't show you the electric motors, but I can talk about them. Like I mentioned earlier, we have our 2-motor setup, or dual motor setup. 160 kilowatts in the front, 160 kilowatts in the rear. The total horsepower output is 422 with torque of 516 pound-feet. That is a lot of power for this vehicle. Again, if you're comparing it to the top of the line Kia EV9, not the GT variant, not the high performance variant, just the top of the line regular all-wheel drive long range, this is more horsepower. That one only has 379. Sorry, someone just walked in while we're filming our video. All right, as far as range goes, we have 500 kilometers of all-electric rated range. Keep in mind, that is the rated number. So what you can see in real life could be well more than that, or it could be a little bit less. Really depends on your driving style and the climate that you live in. Of course, come wintertime, we will experience a range drop or a range loss. Some people like to quote between 20 to 30%, but this vehicle is a larger rated range than something like the Kia EV9 due to its larger battery pack. On the topic of battery pack, it is 110.3 kilowatt hours and it is a lithium-ion polymer battery. For the Ultimate Calligraphy, we have special wheels. So this is our 21-inch alloy with our exclusive Ultimate Calligraphy Aero alloy. It's got a beautiful gloss black meets machined finished finish, and our tire is a 285/45 R21. It is a Hankook EV tire. EV tires are, of course, specialized for electric vehicles. So as far as road noise goes, and also the compound itself, it is created in mind with the weight of this electric vehicle and of course meant for efficiency and aerodynamics. For our brakes, we have ventilated disc brakes in both the front and the rear, with them being larger on the front of the vehicle. And we also have a fantastic regenerative braking system. So there are many different levels of regen to choose from. If you're not a fan of it, don't worry, there's a 0 function. You don't have to use it. But there's also regen level 1, level 2, level 3, iPedal, and our smart or auto regen. Whew, that's a lot to talk about. Now, as far as iPedal goes, it's what's commonly known as one-pedal driving. So when you release the accelerator, your vehicle will slow down very, very hard to a complete stop. Essentially, you can drive your vehicle simply with one pedal, the accelerator. You can also bring that down, of course, level 3, level 2, level 1, or level 0. When you have the auto function on, the vehicle will sense the current gradient of the road that you're on as well as traffic conditions and adjust the strength of the regen as it seems fit. So if you're in high traffic area, constant stop and go, it's going to have a heavy level of regen because it assumes the second you let off your accelerator, it's because you're going to want to slow down and come to a stop. Versus if you're on an open country road, it'll be much lighter. Let me know if you have questions about that and we'll get towards them at the end of this video. The wheel arches on the Ultimate Calligraphy will be body color, and if you're curious about the paint that we have showcased here today, no, it is not black. It's actually Biophilic blue, so it is a very, very dark navy blue finish, absolutely beautiful, but certainly looks black on camera here today. So if you like the sleek, all body color look, the Ultimate Calligraphy will be the only trim level that has our body color arches. Your windshield is acoustic and laminated, or acoustically laminated, so essentially there's an inner layer of sound deadening material meant to give you less wind noise and road noise. The center will also have a camera that is utilized for your lane keeping and following systems, as well as your forward collision avoidance. So this vehicle can see a whole wide range of potential collisions, whether that be with a pedestrian, cyclist, or a car, even at junctions making a left-hand turn, and warn you, but also brake to take corrective action and mitigate or avoid a collision. There's a whole lot on this car that I'm happy to answer and talk about later on in this video. We'll get to the mirrors next. They are power folding as well as body color, and we have a camera placed at the bottom for our blind view monitor. Now, as soon as I indicate a lane change, it'll give me a live feed on my gauge cluster showing me exactly what's happening in my blind spot. But also when I'm parking this vehicle, I have a 360-degree camera view and it's very high definition. 2 of those angles are thanks to those mirrors right over here. Of course, the one on the right and the one on the left. On the reflective portion, we'll also have a warning light. Now that will light up to give you a passive warning if there's ever a vehicle in your blind spot. But if I was actively signaling, the cabin would also beep, and I could get braking correction to avoid a blind spot collision if I still tried to change over my lane. So there's a lot of warnings and actions in placement to avoid multiple collisions on this vehicle, front, side, and rear. We'll talk about that later. your door handles. So they are our flush style. That means when the vehicle is unlocked, they'll be popped out like this so you can easily enter the cabin. And we have proximity entry. So as long as the key is on me, I can simply walk up to the car, reach for the handle, and it'll open. I could also use my phone as my key, so digital key entry. Doesn't even have to come out of my pocket. I can simply walk up, and due to near field communication, I can get inside my car and even start it without using my key. That is, of course, optional. You don't have to use it. You can still perfectly fine use your regular key. The top of the vehicle, we have our flush style roof rails. And then working our way downwards, we'll notice that our door pillars or window pillars are gloss black, but we do have a nice satin chrome belt line that expands towards our rear seat pillar for an extra dose of contrast. Your charge door is on the passenger side, and we have a North American charging standard port. Now this vehicle is capable of level 3 DC fast charging in 24 minutes from 10 to 80%. Now that is on a 350 kilowatt charger, but if you are planning on charging this vehicle at home on a level 2 AC charger, you're at about 9 hours and 45 minutes, I believe is what their spec sheet lists, but of course that will be due to the output of your charger. I'm going to close this up. Oh, actually, before I do that, this is your state of charge indicator. So when it's fully illuminated, that is our sign that we have a full charge. I'm going to close that, and we'll take a look at our lift gate and our cargo capacity. So before I open up our cargo area, I do want to point out that this vehicle is larger than the Kia EV9. We have a wheelbase of 123 inches. It's actually just over. We also have just shy of 7 inches of ground clearance. We can expect to see more space behind our third row on this vehicle than we would on the Kia EV9. As far as your liftgate goes, it is powered with the option to stop it at any point and save a new height if you have minimal clearance in your garage. Checking out our space, as you can see, we have our third row folded down right now. I will pop that up in just a second. If you only need 4 seats, this is what you'd be looking at for space. Completely flat surface, so if you are camping in the vehicle, you can be comfortable. To knock up or to knock down and to bring up the rear seats and second row, we have our power controls along the passenger side of our wall. Gonna bring them up individually. Because they are powered, they are a little bit slower, but hey, at least I don't have to do any heavy lifting. It does it all on its own. Each of these seats have car seat tethers along the top, and we also have ventilation back here that I'll point out when we do our interior review. This vehicle is brought to you with a mobility kit instead of a spare tire, so this is essentially an inflator kit with a sealant meant to plug any sort of leaks you may have picked up on the road, and it is far quicker than swapping out a tire on the side of the road. What does that mean if you experience a tire blowout? Well, can't do much there, but it does have 5 years unlimited kilometers of roadside assistance. In this travel package here, we have our fast charger adapter. So of course, because this vehicle has our North American charge port, we have this connector piece that goes into our charge port. And then the adapter is for CCS charging. So if you are stopping at a level 3 charger that does use CCS, you have an adapter complementary with the vehicle. Now I'm having a hard time getting concrete info on what will be supplied with the IONIQ 9. I've heard a lot of mixed things, but it looks like we are not getting level 1 chargers with them, which is a little bit disappointing considering we do get that on the Kia side of things, but it is nice to see that we are getting an adapter thrown in. Now, as far as vehicle to load goes, you can use vehicle to load on this vehicle. There's an interior port that is actually just beneath our seat controls on our passenger side. And that gives you access to power any sort of device or appliance with your vehicle's high voltage battery. You can also use that from the charge port itself. So you have internal vehicle to load and external vehicle to load. And that is essentially bidirectional charging from your vehicle's high voltage battery, your main power source. Again, very different for Kia and Hyundai. We're seeing all of that complementary with our Kia cars, or our Kia EV9 specifically, but I don't see that on the Hyundai. Now I've seen people say it's for Hyundai trying to make this vehicle as cost-effective as possible to bring a vehicle with a larger battery capacity and otherwise a bigger car period at a price point very, very similar to Kia's EV9. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. For our taillights, mimicking what we see up at the front, we have the same pixelated elements and they are full LEDs. I'm going to hop in the car and hit the brakes so you can see them in action because I do think they are quite beautiful. we'll turn the car on fully. Since of course it is an EV, we don't have to worry about emissions in our showroom. So I've had our brakes illuminated. I'm going to hit the hazards too so you can see the full lighting sequence or what your turn signals would be like. And I'm now inside the cabin. I have a clear read of our range meter. So we're at 95% charge with 501 kilometers of estimated range. Adam, would you like to come to the front of the car? Then we can show what our hazard lights or turn signal lights look like in action. Oh, there we go. Alrighty, so these will of course be our turn signals. You'll see them mounted on our mirrors as well towards the end. I love the way they're integrated into that daytime running light. All right, you guys, let's take a look inside the cabin now. Of course, with the Ultimate Calligraphy Package, we can expect to see some finer touches in our materials. So we have the black leather option here today. There is also a light gray two-tone. Along your door card, you have a lot of soft touch materials, a sneak peek at the ambient lighting that of course you can set to whichever color you prefer, and some pretty funky door handles. Now, right next to the door handle, we have our button to turn on our Ergomotion, otherwise known as massage style seat. We have 2 buttons for our memory seat saves for the driver, and then our mirror and window controls. All of our windows are express windows, meaning they're one touch to go fully down or up, and they also have obstacle detection. For beneath our door card there, sorry, I don't usually do this standing up, so I'm a little out of it. We have our bottle holder with the pretty cool, almost translucent-like finish there, and then our Bose premium sound system. This vehicle is equipped with 10 airbags and a ton of active safety functions like I mentioned earlier. I do also want to highlight some of the driver convenience. So we have something called Highway Driving Assist Level 2, which is essentially a smart cruise control that also has navigation data to know the speed limit of the highway that you're on if there's any major bends. It steers for you to keep you centered in your lane at all times, but also keeps you at a safe distance from the car ahead of you. You as a driver can change things like the reaction speed and of course the following distance if you want to be a little closer or a little further from traffic, and the car also does its own lane changes. All of this is built into the vehicle. It's not a subscription that you'll have to renew or a trial that's going to run out. I know some vehicles, GM, Ford, they do have this as a trial. It's their Super Cruise or their Blue Cruise. This is built into the car and it is fantastic. If you don't want to use the full Highway Driving Assist, you can turn on things like the lane following, and that will just give you some slight correction so you're not making all those minor adjustments all the time to keep you centered in your lane. It is a fantastic system. I highly recommend trying it on a test drive. If you want to test drive one, I just so happen to know the place, Brantford Hyundai. Your steering wheel itself is heated and leather wrapped with 2 different levels of heat. Hyundai heats up the entire wheel too, so no matter how you like to drive, your hands will be nice and warm. The left-hand side is reserved for your driver assistance functions. So this button here turns on your smart cruise control, which if you're on the highway, automatically translates to Highway Driving Assist. You'll set your speed with the plus and minus, and then set your following distance with this bottom left icon. If you want to turn on or off our lane following assistance system, this button here does exactly that. Every time I press it, I will see whether I've turned it on or off on our gauge cluster. So 1 quick press turns on the lane following, 1 long press turns on or off the lane keeping. A lot of people get these systems confused, especially because they're activated by the same button. Essentially, lane keeping, the one that looks like a car with a lane, will beep at you and give correction when you veer out of your lane. So let's say you're getting a little tired and you're paying less attention. It'll wake you up and bring you back to the center. But it's almost like a ping pong with beeping. The other one, lane following assistance, sees upcoming bends or changes and steers into them to make sure you're always in the middle. I like one over the other. I'm not going to tell you which one. I think you guys can guess. Now, as far as nice touches goes, for the Ultimate Calligraphy, we have an IONIQ 9 nameplate on our door card, as well as our metal or deluxe style pedals. I'm so happy they also included our dead pedal with a metal finish. Everyone seems to forget about this. Hyundai did not for the IONIQ 9. Your steering wheel is a power steering wheel, also linked to your memory seat. With your memory seat, you also have your heads-up display adjustment and your mirrors. So minor touches like this, as long as you've gone ahead and saved your seat to your driver profile, you'll hop in, everything will be at your setting. So nice to have. I'm going to take the camera from Adam to show you guys what our heads-up display looks like. It's 10 inches in size. Don't think the camera will really show you that, but as you can see, we have our speed projected. Maybe not as you can see, it's not focusing, but we have our speed projected. There we go. Our lane safety, and then the maximum speed limit of the road that we're on. The Brantford Kia Studio is much like the Autobahn, no posted limit. All right, our gauge cluster is a full 12.3-inch display, completely digitized. We have our speedometer on the left with our range guidance on the right, also indicating when we're in our charge or our power band. Now your charge band, this tach-meter, will drop down essentially when you've let off the accelerator and your vehicle is now slowing down or coasting. When you slow down or coast an electric vehicle, you might be hitting your brake pedal, but a lot of the slowing down or resistance is done by your electric motors changing their function. So instead of working to propel your vehicle forwards, there's resistance, and that resistance captures kinetic energy and places it back into your high voltage battery for use at a later time, later date. Now that is called regenerative braking. Regenerative braking does not necessarily put as much wear on your brakes, your friction brakes. So if you haven't had an electric vehicle before, and now you do, if you use your regenerative braking function often, you can extend the lifespan of your brakes by quite a bit. You can also cause some damage to I shouldn't say damage, but you can misuse your brakes or use them less. And brakes are something that if you don't use them, you lose them. You'll get rust on the surface. So every once in a while, give your vehicle a good proper brake, a little brake slam. Or there is also brake disc cleaning mode in this vehicle that turns off your regen temporarily for a few brake cycles and then turns it back on. So Hyundai thought of everything with this car, they really did. I want to quickly show the right-hand side of the wheel. This is our volume and media controls, so of course your voice commands. If your phone is paired, this could be your Siri or your Google Assistant. And then our phone button to answer calls on the fly and adjust your volume. Mounted on the back are our paddle shifters to increase or decrease our regen. The one on the left is to increase the amount, the one on the right is to decrease it, which of course you have multiple different levels, including 0 or maximum iPedal. This camera here watches your eyes to make sure you're paying attention and will provide warnings if it senses you are inactive. On the right, we have our main interface. So this is a touchscreen display with 3 different driver profiles. One will be guest, and then the 2 others you can set to create, maybe if you share this vehicle with a partner, one for you, one for them. Basically, everything you save within your driver profile will link directly to you. So whether that's the ambient light color, the memory seat, the heads-up display, it'll be completely unique to your account. You'll have your navigation on the far left. This is the default screen. You can, of course, maneuver it around to make it more you by pressing and holding and dragging and dropping. The EV menu will show you your current battery stat as well as nearby chargers and allow you to make some changes to things such as your charging capacity, activate your battery preconditioning, and even turn on utility mode, which allows you to power devices or your car without running it on its 12-volt battery. Instead, it'll draw power from the high voltage battery. Pretty cool. It's just going to quickly turn off the car, that's okay. Now, underneath our touchscreen, we have our climate control and a couple physical buttons for our menus. So far left knob is for volume, far right for tune, and then every button in the middle does exactly as it says. Quickly jump to your home screen, your map, and even search within the vehicle and the navigation. So if I am looking for time, like the time menu, first it'll give me nav suggestions, and then if I scroll down, it'll find things within the car's system. So date and time menu, nice and handy. Beneath that, we have our climate control. So you can set your temperature to your exact preference or activate driver only. It is a tri-zone climate vehicle, so driver, passenger, and then rear. You can also go ahead and lock the rear climate. Pretty straight up, you have your ventilated seats and heated seats turned on here with 3 different levels between the 2. And then right below that, we have 3 USB-Cs. These 2 in the middle are 100-watt USB-Cs, so very quick charging, and the one on the left is for data transfer. You can see we also have a little storage compartment that perfectly fits the manuals. Gonna move that out of the way and talk about the center console next. Now, for our center console, it is a floating style, so it doesn't take up too much space, and that gives us More room here for our things. You saw the owner's manuals were on this upper level, but there's also a smaller storage compartment just beneath it. With our center here, we can quickly turn on or off our auto hold, as well as change our drive and terrain modes. You'll press on either the left or right side to choose between drive and terrain, and then you'll toggle it upwards or downwards to cycle between the two. So under drive, we have eco, normal, sport, and a customizable My Drive. And then under terrain, we'll have snow, mud, and sand, each of which will adjust to give you proper traction in whichever climate you're in or terrain that you're in. The vehicle itself will automatically redistribute its all-wheel drive torque based off what it senses. So if it notices that, power's slipping a little bit in the rear, maybe it'll send a little bit more power to the front, vice versa. This car does, however, have a rear-wheel drive bias, just based off the fact that it's a rear-wheel drive bias car. Now, I'm gonna adjust my seat and show you guys we have our wireless phone charger right over here, and then two USB-C's cup holders. For our center console, it's bi-directional, so I can open it from the front and access it here. The car itself comes with USB-C chargers, perfect for the new iPhone or Android phones. I've had this for a while now, not exactly new technology for them. And then we have our LED light inside. However, your rear passengers can also open the center console from the back, so I highly recommend not putting your high value snacks in here. Keep that in this smaller compartment right over there. I'm gonna have Adam show the dash material, so the calligraphy will take things a couple steps up in the Luxe department, introduces its own calligraphy nameplate along the dash, and of course it's illuminated with our ambient lighting. For our glove box area, we have this upper shelf, and then to open the glove box, we'll just pop downwards like that, and we have an LED light inside. Both the driver and passenger seats are power controlled with heat and ventilation. We also have lumbar support for our passenger. I don't know if I showed the driver power seats. I'll show that towards the end of the video, but for now, we should probably check out the second and third row before this video gets too long. Now, the Ultimate Calligraphy is the only trim level in the IONIQ 9 family to introduce or to have captain's chairs. So it's a 6-seater configuration. These chairs are very wide and very customizable. When you hop in, or I guess when you're out there and Adam's holding the camera, you can see all of our power controls along the side here. So we have our backrest, we have the bottom of the seat, including the angle, so I can move it upwards or downwards. And then the seats themselves also have armrests. They're also going to be heated and ventilated, and because you can recline them, provided no one is sitting behind you, or maybe if they are, you can kind of get into their space, relax a little bit. Up at the top, we have a beautiful panoramic sunroof. The glass itself does open. Let me demonstrate. Opens when the car's on. There we go. Nice and airy. I'll also say because we have a premium headliner that is in a light material, it also gives the more airy open cabin feel. Our climate controls for the rear is located right over here. So we have heat, ventilation, and then auto climate, as well as select temperature, fan speed, and fan direction if you do not want to use the auto function. Oh my gosh, sorry guys. Again, because they're live, anything can happen. I could run out of breath. We have more USB-Cs built into the backs of the driver and passenger seats. These are also 100 watt, so fast charging or high output. And the seat backs have our cargo pocket. I'm gonna go into the third row. Nice thing about captain's chairs is, of course, you have that hallway in the middle. Oh, thanks, Adam. Now, I, of course, went ahead and made things harder for me by reclining the seat to its max amount. So I'm not working with the most legroom or just general space right now, but that's because I made it this way. This seat is completely adjustable, so if I want to move it more forwards, I can do that and still have a ton of usable leg and headroom. Or if I want to be rude to the third row, I can do that too. So right now my knees are touching, but I'm not in that cramped feeling yet. As far as headroom goes though, tons of space. There is a lot of room back here, and because it's 2 seats and not 3, I'm not spilling over into the person next to me or to the space next to me. The windows here, although they are an interesting shape, are still visible out of, so I can look around while I'm going for a drive with everybody else. And because it is a hallway in the middle or captain's chairs in the middle, I don't feel like I'm exactly cut off from the rest of the cabin. I mean, I'm not looking at the backings of 3 seats in a row. I have a clear view of the dash ahead. I can see the driver, I can see the passengers. For amenities back here, I'm going to take the camera from Adam and show you guys. We have adjustment for our seats, so I can recline my seat backwards or bring it right back up. I have an inverter, so each side will have one, of course. And then we have an interestingly shaped cup holder and a little half moon pocket here. That's nice. Crescent moon, no, this is larger than a crescent moon. Yeah, this is about a half moon. Perfect for a dipping sauce. Now, speakers are also back here, and of course it is the Bose premium sound system. Up at the top we have our air vents. We can open, close, and then the seats ahead of me will be who's actually in control of the temperature. I didn't show the vents for the second row. Same idea though, they are ceiling mounted, and we have LED lights back here too. Inside your door card, you'll find our integrated sunshade, which I'll have Adam demonstrate. So you can prop those up and lock them into place to give you a little bit more coverage from the sun. I find it really nice to have these integrated instead of purchased aftermarket, because not only do they look better, they also don't leave that permanent, suction cup stain on your glass. Now I want to answer a few of your questions, and I'm also going to work my way over to the driver's seat so I can show you the driver's seat controls. Someone asked about ashtray holders or ash holders. So we don't necessarily have that in our cars anymore. It's been a while. All right, let's head on over and take a look. Now, there's so much more to talk about in this car that we probably couldn't cover in 2 hours long of a video. But let's take a closer look at the driver's seat. So this button here is our relaxation seat mode. If I press and hold it, it'll put the seat into its relaxed position. Oh, sorry. What are you doing, Adam? Pressing and holding. I don't know if you guys can see it move. Now you can. But it'll put it into a reclined state and also kick out the leg rests. Perfect if you're waiting for a charge. This toggle here might look a little strange to you. It is the bolster adjustment. So although I can change it, you probably won't see it. It's certainly something you feel though. The bolstering on a seat is essentially almost the hugging force. So it'll kind of work the seat in to hold you in place. It's common on sports vehicles or sports cars, sorry. But you can also, I don't know, just adjust it, make it contour you a little bit more or widen out so you feel less constricted on this vehicle. Really nice to have it on this car. And then there's also 4-way lumbar support. So upwards, downwards, and then of course in and out to adjust the lumbar positioning on your back. This upper portion here is the backrest, so I can bring it upright or recline it. And then we have the height of our bottom portion of the seat as well as the angle. And then this is our knee extender. Very great for taller drivers. Small thing I like to point out on our electric cars is if you take a look at the pedals, you'll notice that we have a little minus or negative on the brake and then a plus on the accelerator. Small little quirk. I think things like this, they're fun, they're harmless, and why not? It's a little Easter egg on the car, I guess. I'll show you this driver knee area and what we have here. So we have our charge door release, our front release, lift gate, traction control, brightness adjustment, and then our electronic parking brake. Alrighty, I'm gonna answer some questions, you guys. Sorry, I'm very much out of breath from today's video. Lots of talking. I think it's winter, just the dry air. Okay, what do the plus and minus mean on the brakes? They don't mean anything specifically. It's just a little quirk, of course. When you're braking, you're reducing your speed. You're coming to a stop, you're slowing down. So minus your speed. If you're hitting the accelerator, you're going up in speed. So it makes sense. The only car I had with adjustable side bolsters was my 90 Taurus Show. That's awesome. So a lot of people, including me, we forgot about the Taurus Show and how cool of a car it was. Yesterday I brought it up to Tim. I said, we should get one, we should get one. It's a total sleeper. So many people don't know about it, but it's funny to see it in the comments today. The cup holder in the third row has a small platform around it where you could put an ashtray. I guess, yeah, you could. Mind you, I probably wouldn't smoke in this car. Gabi, you need water. I do. How to multitask with Eduardo. Oh boy, I'm still scrolling up, so I don't know what happened. Eduardo, what did he do? Oh, I'm putting drywall and listening to this live video. Awesome. Did Patrick put in an order for the EV5 yet? Some people want to take a test drive when that car is available, so ordering is not yet available for the EV5. It will go live in December, so in December we will certainly be ordering one. Although they said dealers can't order one. So we'll order them for customers, and when they come in, we will film them. You can store so many Twinkies in here. Yes, there's a lot of storage in this vehicle. I didn't really point out what things are like for the passenger doors in the second row. So let me extend my arm and see what we can do here. We've got a small pocket where the ambient lighting is, and then along this lower portion, we have the same style bottle holder and storage that what we see in the front. Whew. Okay. Guys, let me know what you think about the black interior. I find every time we film a Hyundai with the black, you don't get the full ultimate calligraphy experience. A lot of times when we show the lighter interior, everyone's like, whoa, that's so luxurious, that's so different. So I really do want to get a light interior version of the ultimate calligraphy here to showcase to you guys. Although I still think this one is very premium and very nice. The lighter always just has a little bit more wow factor on camera. Warren loves the blue exterior. It is a very, very nice blue. I'm sometimes scared of getting a bright colored car. I've never had one. I guess that makes sense. But I think a dark blue like this that hides at times but also really pops at others, like in the sunlights, is my favorite type of color on a vehicle. The 4 dots on the steering wheel illuminate when the car is on. 4 dots is also Morse code for H. Yes. Now, based off your drive mode, they will also change too. So, maybe not. I don't have the car properly on. There we go. So I just put it into my drive and it did a purple flash. Eco is that greenish blue. Normal is white. And then sport mode is red. Pretty cool. The black interior with the ambient light, perfection. Absolutely. All right, I'm just going to quickly see if there's any IONIQ 9 related questions. I did see MG ask if it can tow. It is capable of towing up to 5,000 pounds. Now, towing with an electric vehicle dramatically will reduce your range. I mean, towing with any vehicle reduces the range. But not only will it affect, of course, the weight, but it's also affecting the aerodynamics quite a bit. And you have to think about that with any accessory you might want to put on an EV too, whether it's a, cargo rack, cargo roof, bike behind it. That can impact the aerodynamics significantly, and our EVs are built with aero in mind. From the door handles just to the overall shape of the car, they're trying to make it as slippery as possible. So that will definitely make an impact on your range. I haven't towed with our electric cars, so I can't give you an exact range depletion or range, but if anyone has towed with their EV, let us know. What was it like for you? Bulletin Blair said, I'd be afraid to tow with such a gorgeous, expensive car. Yeah, I do think most people getting these EVs aren't necessarily getting them with towing in mind. It's more so passenger space, comfort, and of course, range. But there are some people that do plan on towing with it. Usually not campers, more so utility trailers and whatnot. Does the ultimate calligraphy trim come standard with the all-wheel drive powertrain, and what are its power output specs and horsepower and torque? Yes. So the ultimate calligraphy is essentially a package that is added on to the preferred all-wheel drive plus. And the preferred all-wheel drive plus is an advancement from the regular preferred all-wheel drive. Confusing, I know. Essentially, the big differences are that with the preferred all-wheel drive plus over just the all-wheel, it has dual 160 kilowatt motors instead of the 70 kilowatt in the front and the 60 in the rear. So we have a higher torque and horsepower output of 422 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Now for the range, the all-electric driving range, we're at 500 for rated, but this car is currently at 95% battery, and we are at, well, we are in sport mode, so it's going to read a little bit lower. But in eco mode, we are reading at 501 kilometers of rated range. Let me show you. Right over there. As far as climate goes, right now it is 16 degrees outside. Actually, 16 degrees in here because it's reading in here Outside it is colder, definitely colder. There's a company that makes towable campers that have their own battery and electric motors to help with range loss in EVs. I think it's still too heavy for the IONIQ 9. Yeah, that could be it. Maybe, of course, with our electric pickup trucks that are available right now. We've got the Silverado. I was about to call it the Sierra and the Silverado in once. 11 degrees outside. Thank you, Adam. Will there be an IONIQ 10? I mean, who am I to say no? I have no idea. Sometimes I think I know what's next and they just throw me for a total curveball. Maybe it'll be Hyundai's van, but I guess we'll find out, so follow along, you guys. Now, it has been 40 minutes, so we are going to end off today's video, and like I hinted at earlier on, we will be comparing this car to the top-of-the-line Kia EV9. So if you guys want to check that out, I want to say we should probably be able to go live for 3 p.m., so in about 20 minutes. See you in 20. Let me know. Bye-bye, guys.